Hello, this is Broyar, and welcome back to another episode of our Let's Play for Football Manager 2024 as we continue our road to glory run with FARSLEY CELTIC. And glory was just this far away from us this last season. We did win the Premier League. We missed the Champions League by just an inch. I mean, just about. But let's go ahead and get into the end of season review. We'll get into the transfer special, and hopefully we can prepare ourselves for a Champions League run this next year. Let's get into it. All right, here we are. As you can see, we did get 3 trophies this year. We got the Premier Division, of course. We got the FA Cup, and then we got the Carabao Cup. So everything in England we won. We just couldn't win the Champions League. Oh, and the team that beat us was a team in England. It was so bad, guys. Oh, I'm still not over it. Did we only bring in 2 people? Really? I guess 2 people that actually played for us. I think everybody else went back out on loan. Fiorini, was the signing of the season, apparently. 37.5 million. Was he really? Maybe. And then we brought in Baba, who also only got a handful of games. So, I don't know. We didn't really do much there. And then transfers out. Anybody that they just absolutely hated the transfer for him? They didn't really like the Fleet transfer. Fair enough. Everybody else was just kind of like, yeah, that's fine. And then we did have a couple loans out, Yule and Yaroslav, so I thought we had more players than that. That seems, I think, you know what it is? I think some of the players that we brought in came in technically before the end of the current season, kind of like this year, right? If we go look at our transfers in for this year, they're actually all before the crossover, and so they'll technically count for this season as opposed to next season in a weird way. So I think that's all it is. Obviously, the board's very pleased. We had 30,000 average home attendance. Obviously, final position number 1. Top goal scorer was Lacombe at 18 goals. We absolutely destroyed the Premier League this year. Only lost, in the Premier League, we only lost, what, 2 games? 1 against Newcastle and 1 against Tottenham. And then the team that beat us in the Champions League, Aston Villa, we beat them 3-2 there and drew against them there. So we weren't that much. Honestly, they apparently are our Achilles heel for whatever reason. Crazy to think that the Champions League winners were 12th in the league. I mean, there's no excuse for us to have lost that game. So depressing. We only lost the 2 games, the PSG and of course the Aston Villa game at the very end of the season. Very just I'm not over it, guys. I'm not over it. Did obviously run through FA Cup, ran through the Carabao Cup. And then we did lose the Community Shield, but not that big at all. I mean, I don't really care about the Community Shield that much. Maybe I should care more. Biggest win was against Barnet, 11-1. Match to remember was against Real Hispalis, 5-1. And then we got the goal of the season was from Lacombe. It was a 4th minute goal. I guess we can go look at it real quick. Why not? And that was the goal of the season. Oh, off the post. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Let's go back that way, maybe? There we go. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. It did look kind of cool at the time. All right. 4.5-star current worldwide reputation. Same as previous, so nothing changed there. A little bit of bump in annual revenue there. Broadcast revenue went down just a smidge. Corporate hospitality went up slightly. Competition prize money went up quite a bit. Match day went down slightly. So overall, we did gain more money than we lost. Marion was the number 1 shirt sale. Smith, Lacombe, Hulick, and Kalman finishing out the 5. And here is our lineup. Not too bad. Videgla, of course, in goal. O'Brien, Avazian, Safin, and Hulick across the back. Matip and Dean in the middle. Smith, Lacombe, Kalman across the attacking midfield, and Marin up front. Accolades. I was the Premier Division Manager of the month, December, February, and March, and the Manager of the year. Club Awards, Hulick picking up Defense Player of the Season, as well as Young Player of the Season. Signing of the season was Fiorini. Again, he only got into 6.8, but should be all right. We'll go ahead and we'll be fine with that. He'll get better, I guess is my point. Goal of the season came from Lacombe. We looked at that. Top goal scorer, 33 goals from Lacombe. Most assists, Dante Smith with 21. Most player of the match awards, Marin with 7. Highest average rating was Lacombe with 7.3. And most passes completed was Safin. Most overall goals by player in a season, Lacombe, 33. And most goals by player in a match, 5 goals from Lacombe. Competition awards, English Players Young Player of the Year, Lacombe. Under 21 Footballer of the Year, Kalman. Champions League Golden Boot was Marin. Champions League Young Player of the Season was also Marin. pretty good stuff there. Obviously, we say FARSLEY came along better than anyone would have expected and carried that mid-season form all the way to the title. So we did get the title. We're happy with that. So disappointed with the end, though. Any new players? Yes. Lacombe was the pick of the 5 players coming into the lineup here. He actually comes in as a striker, which I guess it's fine. And then we got Kalman in here. He comes in on the right-hand side here. Marin up front. Yeah, Marin's actually right there alongside them. Badegla goes onto the bench. Okonkwo still taking the lead there. And then, oh, Matt Dean. I missed Matt Dean onto the defensive midfield. Our best 11, where are they now? Holder, Okonkwo, guys like that. So, I don't know. Rodriguez, of course, is the big one. We sold him recently. He's the biggie. Supporters, almost 20 million supporters. That's crazy. Club Vision. They want us to reach the latter stage of the Champions League. I agree. They want us to challenge for the Premier Division title. I agree. And then next year, they actually want us to win it outright. That's pretty bold. I mean, we almost always overachieve what they want. So the fact that they want us to win it within the next year, that's pretty bold. They actually think that we're pretty good, I guess. That's awesome. We'll accept that. I'm okay with all that. Anything else here? Excuse me. I apologize for the odds. Just one of those days. Let's talk about our Premier Division aims. We want to challenge for the Premier Division. Long season, you're going to come back fully refreshed. I'm aiming for the qualifier for the Champions League. Yes. Yeah. We'll do that one. That one's fine. And then I don't think we have anything else to talk about. We'll just take the win on the improved morale there. All right. I don't know what we're going to do to adjust this team. I mean, it's already a good enough team to win the Champions League. We already know that. I think some would say that we should have won the Champions League already. We got a little maybe FM'd. I'm just saying. I mean, how do you improve on that much green? I mean, I guess you just don't have any more draws and you don't have any more losses. But the improvement is going to be minimal, right? We already are an extremely good team. That being said, we know that we can make some improvements, right? There are definitely some improvements that could be made. Some of these guys are just not even close to being developed as much as they could be. Some of these guys are never going to develop as much as they could be. As far as goalkeepers, we do have, of course, what am I looking for? Goalkeeper. We, of course, have Badegla, but honestly, 3.5 star, 3.5 stars fine. It's acceptable. Not amazing, though. So getting us a better goalkeeper someday would be awesome. Do we have anybody? I don't remember if we had anybody sitting on the bench here. We got Joel, Penault. We actually got quite a few here. And that's part of the problem with, and we've talked about this before, Premier League. We're only able to bring in 6 under 18 players or under 21 players that are foreign each year. So we are very much limited on how much Wonder Kid rotation we can do. Now, we're still bringing in quite a few young kids that could be amazing for us. We'll go ahead and sell these clauses. I don't think there's any reason to sit on them. And sometimes it doesn't sell. There we go. That time it sold. You want to sell that one? There we go. Okay. A little bit extra money. Nothing too crazy, but don't really have anything there. We got plenty of money if we wanted to spend it, but we don't need to spend it right now. I mean, we got so much money, though. I could just go get us some good players just to fill in some spots if we feel like that is necessary. For example, let's take a look at this. If we look at the average rating, we know that one of our weakest links by far, because if you look at this, anybody 7 or above, one thing you do not see anywhere in the 7 or above is a defensive midfielder. There's not a defensive midfielder anywhere in here. Now, I mean, Safin can play defensive midfield, but we play him as center back. Lawal did jump in as defensive midfielder a few times, but he's technically a left back. I mean, our first defensive midfielder doesn't come in until Matt Dean here at 6.95. Now, that being said, I'm okay with keeping Matt Dean around. I like Matt Dean. He's trained in Nation. That's fine. But we could definitely use for some improvements in the defensive midfield. I mean, a guy like Madueke, I don't know. He just hasn't figured it out. He is trained at club, or he's going to be trained at club in next year. So, I mean, ideally, we'd love to keep him around, keep him trained at club, because he's just theoretically going to get better. Matip, however you say his name, already trained at Nation as well. Could be better, but I mean, 6.87 it's not terrible. It's just not great, right? That's the problem. It's not like our defensive midfield is terrible. They're just not great. So really trying to struggle through that. Also, anybody that's probably capping out at a 4-star rating, might be somebody we consider moving on. I mean, if it's Holik and you're solidly 4-star, he might be worth keeping. But someone like Yilmaz, who could only ever achieve a potential 4-star, he might be the kind we move on. Like just like Dakovic and Edson here. These are potential 4-stars. We don't know for sure. Whereas Holik is, we know he's a 4-star. Maybe he's worth keeping around. I don't know. Something to think about. So I got to go play around through this. It's definitely going to be some work on my part to try and work through this list, see who we really want to keep, who we really need to improve on. We do need to make the team better because you got to think about it. Yes, is this team good enough to have won the Champions League and the Premier League and everything else just outstandingly? Yeah, for sure. But all the other teams are going to get better. And if we don't get better as well, then we are going to get left behind. That's kind of the way I feel about it. Thing is, we have an extremely young team. Our oldest player is 24 years of age. 24 years of age. I mean, you imagine these guys when they're like 27, 28, and these guys are, 25, 26. We are going to have one of the best teams in the world at that point in time, but that's a long ways away to get there, right? So I don't have any specific thoughts right this second. I'm trying to think of, like I said, I already told you a couple of the guys that might be on the chopping block because they're just like Yilmaz, the guys like that. Even though he's trained at club, they're just not going to really be what we need them to be. So if we can move them on, we'll try. I do again need to consider the guys that are coming in. We got this great goalkeeper coming in though. This guy could be amazing for the future. It only cost us 1.6 mil, I believe. Or 2.6 mil, sorry. We got this guy coming in. Paid us a little bit more for him. But he looks... actually, he looked better when we got him early on. He might not ever be somebody we bring in to keep. He might be somebody we sell on for 25, 30 mil later and get a little bit of a bonus from him. What about Kobayashi? Kobayashi could be good. 4.5 star. Defensive midfielder. That's what we're talking about. Weakness is defensive midfield. If we can bring a guy like this in. Not the most outstanding statistics, to be honest, but he's got it where we need it. That's the thing. He's not outstanding, but he's got the stats where we need the stats for a defensive midfielder. So maybe okay. We got Grawley in here, another defensive midfielder. Could be as high as 4.5 star potential. Looks a little bit more balanced, a little bit better straight off the bat. We'll see what he does. And then we got you as a striker or a left attacking midfielder. He looks like he could be insanely good as well. So we got a few guys that could someday be insanely good. This guy's got 16 finishing. Not the most amazing physical stats, but some of the other stats not too bad. Sometimes we got to gamble on some of these. Sometimes they'll pay off. Sometimes they won't. This guy could be decent, could not be. We don't know. We didn't pay that much for him. And if we can sell him on for 10 times that amount someday, then it's profit. So at some points you got to... Some of these guys are guys that we think we can join the team. Some of these guys are guys that we think we can sell on for a profit. That's kind of how I look at it. All right, time to go do some work. I will bring you guys back if or when I have done anything of note. And hopefully we'll get ready for next year and just have an even better season next year. All right, we are back and we're ready for the first game of the season. Well, the first Premier Division game of the season. I already did the Community Shield because I just didn't really care about the result of that. But we'll go over that result in just a moment. Not really anybody in, I'll be honest. But we did sell a lot of people. Like a lot of people. I think the total that we sold was, let me see, it's 150 million. I think something like that. We'll take a look in just a second. As you can see, through friendlies and stuff like that, some wins and draws and stuff like that doesn't really matter. But we did win the Community Shield against Newcastle. We got a goal from Smith, actually a pair of goals from Smith, a goal from Lacombe, and a goal from Smedgewood late in that game. But not really much to speak of. It didn't really matter that much. I guess it makes the board a little bit happy that we got that. And it's technically a trophy. So, but as for transfers, let's go take a look at those. So transfer history, as you can see, nothing coming in. Well, not completely true. The reason I say it's not completely true is because obviously we did bring in a bunch of youngsters, and we have 6 youngsters. We can only do 6 youngsters at every year that are foreign. We can only have 6 foreign under 21 players per year. And so there's our 6 that we brought in. And we've already looked at these. We got our goalkeeper. We've got our right back here. I think he's back out on loan or something like that. We've got a striker, decent finishing. We'll see how he plays out. We've got a left attacking midfielder on the left-hand side. Could also play striker, Austrian. We've got a Japanese defensive midfielder, Kobayashi here. And then finally, we got Growley here, who's also a defensive midfielder, although we might be playing him as a central defender. We'll be taking a look at that as well in just a bit. As far as outs, though, as you can see, actually it was 113 million was what it kind of came to, but it could go up. It can go up a little bit higher. I'm sorry, that's the wrong year. There we go. There we go. I thought it was about 150 mil. There we go. 158 mil were the outs. So we did sell Edson for 19.75 going to 26. Lawal went up for 37.5. Dalkovich went up for 19.25 going up to 25. Chawunga went up for 15.5. Tuniclip, I don't even remember who he is. Arroyo went up for 28 mil. Acosta went out just for a loan, just for now, because we do have our 2 goalkeepers at the moment. Yaroslav went out for 11.5. And Yilmaz went out for 24.5 going up to 26 mil. So bunch of guys leaving. I mean, I looked for some people to bring in. Just didn't really find anybody that jumped out at me. We got almost 300 mil in the bank account, 83 mil still left in the transfer budget, tons of money in the wage budget. We got room if we wanted to, but just not really finding anybody other than some more youngsters. I'm still going after the youngsters. For example, we got a center back here, Oser, for up to almost 20 mil. He looks like he could be decent. 6'2", decent jumping reach, decent heading for a 19-year-old. Presumably he's going to get a little bit better at both of those things at some point or another. But he could be as good as 4.5 stars right now. 4.5 to 5 stars is what we're seeing. We got Krachnikov here, a left back here. Brought him in for dirt. 3.4 mil is nothing. He could go up to 4.5 stars as well. 5'8". He's not very tall, but he's got some decent stats where it counts, right? In the spaces that we need him to have the decent stats, he's got them, and he's not looking terrible. From Bulgaria, we got this guy Vatnistal. Sure, we might have to change his name. Most likely, we'll retrain him to be a defensive midfielder, although he could play as an attacking midfielder as well if we decided to do that. 5'6", very short. That's okay. Could go up to 4.5 stars. Again, he's got stats in the places that we care about, which is part of the reasons why I go after some of these guys. He's Icelandic. And then finally, probably the big one, Ali Tokmak from Trabzonspor, a team that we know very well from our live stream run. He comes in here for a pretty big chunk of money. Don't get me wrong, but the guy looks good physically. He's got good finishing, and I mean, he's only 18 years old, so he's going to get better across the board in all of these. I think he's going to be an outstanding player someday. Could be wrong, but I think he will be. So just brought in some new players. And these guys, we won't see these guys until next year, though, right? We've already gotten our 6 for this year. These guys are all end of this current season. You can see they all join in June of 2041. So I'm already planning for ahead. That just is what it is. But I just wanted to kind of show those off a little bit. Anyway, so let's go take a look at the squad as it is. Here is the squad that we have. Of course, we got Videgla as our starting goalkeeper, but Hagelscar. We'll call him Hagelscar. We'll say the J is silent, and whatever that character is something. I don't know. He's going to be our backup, but obviously someday as a Warner kid, we would expect him to take the top spot, potentially. We'll see. On the left-hand side, we got O'Brien, and we got Penalt, who is technically a kind of a push-up left back, as you can see, but we've retrained him as a proper left back. He's looking like he's got some good potential, so we're going to play him behind O'Brien there, and I think he's going to be fine. On the right-hand side, we got Holik and Suleiman. In the middle, we got Avazian and Saf, and of course, our normal 2. These guys are only 23 and 24. They're still extremely young, plenty of room to continue to grow. Holtberg is sitting right back there, ready to take over. Honestly, he might even take over for Avazian someday. He's looking really, really strong as well. And then we're gonna retrain Gorali. I'd say retrain. He already knows how to play central defender. We're gonna keep him as a central defender instead of a defensive midfielder. See what he can do there. He's plenty tall enough. 6'2". Jumping reaches 15. Heading's 11. That's gonna be fine. That's exactly what we want to see for those center backs. So he's gonna take that 4th spot there. In the defensive midfield role, we got Dean and Gemistos as our primaries. Matip and Madueke, we know them very well as the backups. Not really seeing Matip and Madueke really develop the way I would like them to, but still early. There's still a chance. And again, Gorali is not going to be in this particular spot. On that left wing, we've got Smith and Smedsrud. Of course, Smith we know very well. Smedsrud we got to see a little bit of. We'll see what they can continue to do. On the right, we got Kalman and currently Baba, although Joel, probably, is it Joel or Joel? Where are you from? Danish. Probably Joel. Probably Joel, actually. Nicolaj Joel, something like that. I don't know. I'm probably just going to say Joel because it's easier to say. And we're going to say that that's his name because he told me that was his name. And you can't prove me otherwise because he's a made-up player. And so Kalman and Baba taking the primaries. But Joel here obviously could step in as a third option at any point in time. And then attacking midfielder in the middle, we got Lacombe and Garcia, of course. We do have Olsen. Definitely want to have Joel here. Olsen is available, but he's also available on the striker side of things. Not exactly sure what I'm going to do with Olsen. He's got some really good stats in a lot of good places, but we just don't really have room for him right now. So we'll keep him around. We'll see what we can do with him. I'm just not sure. And then, of course, up front, we got Marin and Fiorini as our primary two. Again, Olsen kind of hovering around there. Could play in that spot as well. And that is our team. So, yeah, not a lot of changes. I mean, honestly, our starting lineup is identical. Yeah, we haven't changed the starting lineup from last year, but they're all young, so there's no reason to. Some of the backup players have changed a little bit, and I think that's probably the biggest thing. But our first game is coming up against Crystal Palace. We'll be playing that away from home later today. I'll be in the next episode. As far as the season preview, I think we're ranked 7. Yeah, we're down here in 7th. Not great, obviously. We don't have any players in this top here. I'm sorry, no, we have Smith. Smith is actually showing up here in the Dream 11. There's Rodriguez, good old boy Rodriguez we've had before. We know he's good, but honestly, Lacombe is playing really, really well. So just saying, I think they're underestimating Lacombe. We'll see what he can do. But that is the team. Hopefully we can achieve everything we want to achieve again this year. We'd like to win the Premier League again, of course. And, of course, push very far into the Champions League. Preferably win it. That's really all we got left to do in this save is win the Champions League. We have already won the Premier League. So, all right, well, that's going to be it for today. Next episode, we'll play Crystal Palace and Man City, 2 big games. I mean, the Man City game, obviously the big one. Crystal Palace probably less so, but it is away from home, so it could always be a trap game. You never know. We'll see how it goes, but I do appreciate you guys watching. May God bless you, and I hope you join me again next time. Thank you, and goodbye. I wanted to give a special shout out to the following channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel.